All right, guys, welcome back to TCI headquarters. We're going to bring you our highlights of the interviews this week. We're not getting any players on Tuesday, so we're just going to focus on Monday, which is focus on the disaster at Notre Dame Saturday night. We got two coordinators today, We got Coach Richardson instead of Streeter, which I thought was very interesting. If you've read our coverage and you read our coverage on Coach Richardson, I'm not sure the fans are really going to like some of the things that were said today. I'm not sure they're going to like some of the things that were said from the defensive coordinator today. Yeah. The players, I thought they kind of owned it.
Yep.
You know, they were pretty good as far as saying, hey, we were embarrassed as well. I thought they did a good job of that. Let's start with Wes. Some of the things you heard from Wes today.
Well, still a lot of talk about, I guess, other than just them coming out and saying we didn't have the right mindset, which is very interesting because before the Notre Dame game, all they talked about is we've got to have the right mindset. So it's like apparently that message didn't get across during the week, but more talk about missed tackles and misfits when you talk about the run game, and obviously them getting gashed by Notre Dame.
Now, can you clarify the definition of misfits? I'm teasing.
But like he's been talking, but that's been a talking point with Wes and some of these players for it seems like a month now. And I asked Wes specifically, why is this still? You're 9 games in now. Why is this still an issue? Why is it not getting better? And he sort of evaded the question. It was just talking about the Notre Dame game and how Notre Dame just ran right at him. It's like, okay, we know it wasn't good. Why? The question is why? Why is it still an issue? And so I don't know. It was sort of strange, trying to them trying to figure out what are the actual issues here. But bottom line is that they got to be better. They got to be better at the point of attack. We mentioned this a little bit in a different video, but I don't know that this front seven for Clemson. It's just considering all the talent that they have, I just don't know that they've lived up to that, and they got to play better. I mean,
you don't know that they've lived up to it?
Yeah,
I know they have not lived up to it.
Okay, fair enough.
Absolutely not.
Okay.
Those Avenger footballs and posters we've got, we need them to live up to this stuff more. Okay, I agree. And then some of the stuff that Wes said today, just the alignment thing bugged me a little bit. Well, we could, the alignment was the problem.
Yeah.
And, okay, we see that now. Why did we not see that after the first series or the second series or the third series or the fourth series or the fifth series and fix that during the game? But we didn't. Coach Richardson actually said his attitude was, hey, guys, we've only lost one game. We're not 5-3. We're not 3-8. I remember times around here when Clemson was 3-8, and we were hoping to get to the Tangerine Bowl, and I did not like that messaging at all today. I would have much rather heard, "Hey, we own it. We know their mistakes. We're gonna fix it." Not what we heard at all from Coach Richardson, and his explanations on, we've had a couple of rough games, but we're gonna fix it. And it's not like we just had one bad game for the offense. Yeah. We just had back-to-back bad games for the offense.
Yeah, and really, if you go back to the second half of the Florida State game, where they didn't, there wasn't a ton that they did after that first that trick play, I guess, down the sideline for that very first touchdown, the open play, the second half of that game. So, it's interesting that you talk about the comments, those comments that you're referring to. It's sort of like sometimes I hear that and I think it's deflection off of we don't really know how to fix these issues, or we haven't figured it out through 9 games, so we're just going to sit here and talk about or try to make this a positive thing of keeping things in perspective as far as the overall record. So. Yeah, that's interesting, but I do think he did come out today and said, "Look, we're very average."
What's the identity?
It's a great question.
Dave, it's your question to a lot of people today. What is the identity of the offense? What was the answer?
We don't know, basically.
What game are we going into?
Game 10. Okay. But his answer was, well, it depends on the time of the year. Different times of the year, depending on how you're playing. That's our identity. But they really don't have one right now. And I thought it was very interesting. He came out and said, we're very average offensively. And we're average at every single position. He didn't want to put all the blame on the quarterbacks, but I mean, they just, it's because the passing game was a lot more improved the first half of the year, and then it's just disappeared the last 3 games. And the running game, it really wasn't there a whole lot. The passing game carried them the first half of the year. They had 2 really good games against Florida State and Syracuse, and then they did a no-show against Notre Dame. So they don't have an offensive identity right now, and that's obviously a huge issue when you're talking about being 10 games into your season. So yeah, that was interesting. And then I thought it was interesting some of the comments he was talking about with DJ, and just said, look, it's not just him, but he's out there. He wants to be perfect. He wants to please everybody. He's trying to make perfect throws and make the perfect decisions. I think you're seeing some of that with some of the sacks that he's taken, because he's holding the ball way too long. And Dabo even, and Dabo and Kyle, admitted that, was like, he's got to get rid of the ball. But I think sometimes he just thinks, I've got to make a play here, because I think he's, as much as you want to sit there and say, well, I don't listen to the outside noise and we're just going to stay, play with blinders on. They're human beings. They're not robots. They see what everybody's saying, and you want to go out there and perform well. But those are things like in those instances, man, you just got to throw the ball away and play another down instead of being in second, third, and long.
Dabo asked us after the game. He said, "Give me the heat. It's my deal. I'm the head man. Don't call these players out. Don't write all this negative stuff about the players." So, as I said earlier, I thought the players handled themselves well in today's interviews. They owned it.
Yeah.
I'm going to go back to one more thing on the coaching that was discussed today. On the 4th and 4 call, there was a lot of discussion about that pass to Bo Collins, the 45-yard pass in a 60-mile-an-hour wind. Mm-hmm. And he said, as DJ went through his progressions, nobody else was open. That was the right play. That is not correct, according to what everybody told me, what they saw on TV and others. I was in the end zone, so I couldn't tell. I have not rewatched the game. But from what I've told, that was not the case. Yeah. And there was no way that Tom Brady was going to complete that 40-yard pass to Bo Collins in that 60-mile-an-hour wind. Mm-hmm. That was just not happening. If that was a play that was called, that should have never been called in that situation.
Yeah. No, I agree. But I don't know. It's just a mess offensively right now. And again, like I alluded to earlier, I think they're sort of trying to skirt around and protect some guys' feelings and things like that. When they're just not very good right now. And again, back to the whole lack of offensive identity thing. What's working for them right now. And now I think like watching them, seeing some of the players' body language in the interviews, I think there are sort of some residual effects from the way they performed last year. Because obviously this was the talking point all offseason. Can this offense be better? Can they bounce back? They performed well the first half of the year, and all of a sudden, man, you have a game or two where it looks exactly like it did last year. And I think you're starting to see some guys think about that and wonder, can we get back to the way we were performing the first half of the year? Because there's a lot of the same players that went through this last year, and you just wonder mentally if they're starting to think about that and wonder if they can get back on track at this point.
All right, guys, that's a review of some of the highlights from the interviews this week. As you can tell, I'm a little fired up after that loss and that trip, but we're not going to keep it all PC here for you. We're going to tell you what we're really thinking. So hopefully you guys appreciate that. We got everything covered for you guys all week long, heading up to a huge game. Hopefully the crowd will show up and help the team this weekend. But stay tuned to TCI all week long for the most complete coverage of Clemson football.
This is BT Potter. Make sure to check out the Clemson Insider's most complete football coverage. Nobody does it better.